Parliament today. I'll just take us through quickly the headlines and then we'll start our conversation after that. We start with the Star newspaper, the main headline, Ruto's twin assault on Uhuru, Raila over BBI. Kenya Kwanza claims taxpayer billions wasted on botched constitution campaign. The story is on page 2. And of course, DP's team rise to Auditor General demands PAC investigation. The same story. And then just up there, food prices, fuel tax, hot potato as the Treasury Chief unveils budget. That is on page 11. And 16 bullets removed from wounded aspirant, arrested magistrate in bid to stop prosecution, petitions High Court in defilement case. That is on page 9. Anyona, daily bread that sustains low-income families in Korogosho. That is on page 20. And then we turn our attention to the Daily Nation. Raila and Ruto cut deals to save allies. That is on the main page. That is the main headline. And away from the campaign trail and the glare of cameras, the leading contenders in the August presidential contest, Deputy President William Ruto and ODM Chief Raila Odinga, are busy building consensus between rival politicians in their camps ahead of the primaries as they seek to consolidate votes and avoid fallouts that could potentially hinder their state house bids. That is on page 12 and 13. On the Daily Nation, storm rocks Azimio amid zoning plans. Raila Odinga is facing rebellion from fringe parties in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya alliance, which are now demanding a renegotiation of the coalition agreement, saying they had been given the short end of the stick, and they accuse ODM, Jubilee and Wiper of making unilateral decisions. That is on page 10. Anxiety grips teachers as mass transfers start. TSC Chief Executive Nancy Macharia says transfers are meant to ensure all schools have a balanced teacher-to-learner ratio before the start of the new academic calendar. The transfers, which started yesterday, will affect teachers in both primary and secondary schools. The story is on the back page on the Daily Nation. And what does Uhuru's last budget have for you? That is even as Treasury, Cabinet Secretary Ukuri Yatani reads the budget statement in Parliament today. Tax experts are warning Kenyans to expect minimal changes in new taxes and incentives. And the 2022-2023 budget, the last under Jubilee administration, and which is increased from 3.1 trillion for the current 2021 financial year, I think, to 3.3 trillion Kenya shillings. So we shall be looking at that as well. And then we go to the Standard newspaper. The main headline, Raila's new Mr. Fix-It, the appointment of Raphael Tuju as Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Secretariat's executive director reflects the former Jubilee Secretary General's political ascendancy and adds to his growing reputation as President Kenyatta's and ODM leader Raila Odinga's Mr. Fix-It. The story is on page 9. Why Mount Kenya might miss out on number 2, that you'll find on page 5. No one forced me to cut my dreadlocks. Mau Mau Field Marshal Muthoni Wakirima dismisses claims that she was coerced to part with her locks, revealing that she requested Mama Ngina Kenyatta to shave them off. That is on page 22. And Sankara killing, ex-president jailed for life. That is on page 34. And KCP Form 1 selection results out in next week. That is on page 15. And of course, the 3.3 trillion budget amid empty pockets. So that is what we have on the leading newspapers in the country. So now let's just take a look at some of the newspapers from across the continent. And let me just get some of that. We see what else we have this morning from across Africa. And we start with the Daily Monitor in Uganda, inside Olunya's battle with cancer. He was a good NRM cadre, patriot, that is what President Museveni said, and special Northern Uganda owner burial plan. That is also on page 3 on the Daily Monitor there in Uganda. And then new vision still from Uganda. Olunya's final journey. Olunya's deepened unity as a patriotic Ugandan, says Museveni, and experts give more details on Olunya's cause of death. You'll find that inside pages of the new vision. And then we go to News day from Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe gets new $100 note. New bill not enough to buy a loaf of bread. Okay, inflation. We thought inflation is high here. That is something that Zimbabwe has been battling with now for years. And daily news still from Uganda, not from Uganda, but from Zimbabwe. Sorry. Komichi feels the heat in MDC wars as fallout over by-elections. Drubbing escalates. And the Punch from Nigeria, zoning crisis threatens PDP. South insists on presidency and party in dilemma over zoning, doesn't want to appear anti-South. That is according to a chieftain. So as Nigeria readies for its elections next year, I think around February, there has been issues because the rest of the country, especially the South, have been feeling that, the presidents that have come in the recent past, they've come from the North, including the one they have right now, President Buhari. So this time they're feeling, can they give somebody, from the South? So that is a conversation that has been happening there in Nigeria. And the Guardian newspaper, still from Nigeria, South Mbelt, Nigbo leaders rage as PDP dumps zoning, and the same story I'm talking to you about. And the Daily News from Tanzania, revolution in health sector, Premier Office pushes for NDP execution. All right, so that is what we have on the leading newspapers from Kenya, and indeed some from across the continent of Africa. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Gladwell Kiragu from Nairobi. She's a journalist, and every now and then she's here helping us with the analysis of some of these stories. Gladwell, good morning to you.
A very good morning to Miriam. Good morning to our viewers.
All right, good morning. And let's just start with perhaps the story that has been making headline. Apparently, Muthoni wa Kirima had dreadlocks that I think she's had, I don't know for how long. Mama Ngina, we saw her help with the shaving, a couple of days ago, and it's raised a big conversation on the social. So let me just read a bit of that. Maybe perhaps some of us don't understand the significance of that. At Mau Mau Field Marshal, Muthoni wa Kirima agreed to be tonsured. The news that the 5-foot-long dreadlocks, the only female Mau Mau Field Marshal had kept for 70 years, had been cut, sparked outrage on social media platforms. From former Mau Mau freedom fighters to politicians and activists, many have differed with Ms. Muthoni's decision to shave her dreadlocks last weekend. In an exclusive interview at her Pembe Tatu home, Ms. Muthoni dismissed claims that she was coerced. She said she requested former First Lady Mama Ngina Kenyatta to shave. Ms. Muthoni said the move was informed by the urge to live a new life and forget the forest struggle. So it was quite significant. It was not just another hair shave. I don't know, are people making too much a deal out of this?
Yes, Miriam, and if you saw the clip, many thought that she had been forced to do it. And yes, to her, she said that she wanted to forget and start a new life. And as far as the Kikuyus, that was a symbol that was a symbol to us, because she fought for the Kikuyu, she fought for our country. And the video that was taken when she was being shaved, many termed it that she was being forced, because you could see even her facial expressions. They were not like, she was not happy about it. And she was even trying she did not want it to, but she was being pushed. So I think that she needed and it means she needed to come out clean. If it is true she wanted it, or she's still just covering up. And another thing with the shavings, I read about people, where would she request Mama Ngina to shave her? I think they got a history between the two, something I can't speak about it because I'm not sure. But I wish people would first learn before we run to judge something. Let us try to understand the depth of it. If she needed a new life, then it's okay with it. But as long as she was not forced, fine. And by the way, she looked smart with it, with all the dreadlocks. Yeah.
Okay, and having in mind she's had the dreadlocks for 70 years, so it held, I think, a huge significance over, of course, the struggle, during those days for independence. So for her, but from the interview she had yesterday, she's saying she needed a new start, in life. She needed to close that chapter, and because she was no longer in the forest, as she said, and now she's ready to move on and forget about the forest struggles. So people should just be okay with that. I think it was her decision, and as you said, there's a reason why Mama Nkina had to be the one to do that. She requested. We don't know the reason and behind it, but there's been a lot of speculation online, and some of which we don't even know to be true. But that was that. The point is, she was not coerced. She requested for that, and Mama Nkina went and shaved. I think it was an honor even for Mama Nkina to shave her, owing to what those dreadlocks meant, for this Mau Mau veteran. And so, all right, so let's just move on to another story. And on page 3 on the Standard newspaper, a prisoner charged with impersonation. Once committee prison officers charged for being part of his con racket. Patrick Shikure Amere, appearing before Milimani Chief Magistrate Susan Shitubi, told court his accomplices were prison officers. Amere, who is serving life, was in court for a mention of a new case against him on Wednesday. Your Honor, I would like the court to give an order for me to record a statement with police and name the prison officers I collaborate with to acquire the money. Amere said, adding that his mission was made possible through collaboration of the officers. On February 12th, while appearing before Trial Chief Magistrate Wendy Kagendo, Amere admitted to swindling a job seeker of 800,000 Kenya shillings. He had allegedly impersonated Defense CS Mr. Eugene Wamalwa. Ms. Shitubi, sitting in for Kagendo, directed that Amere be presented in court again on April 13th. And so many times some of these phone calls you get, Kenyans joke sometimes, but a lot of times it's true. They come from convicts in this maximum prison, people who are not even supposed to be accessing phone calls. But we've seen that, being violated. And so this prisoner is saying, fine, I admit I've done that, and he's serving life sentence. So at this point, he has really nothing to lose. But also, could you bring the officers, the officers that are responsible to the correctional facilities, at committee, the prison? Can you bring them also, because they helped me in, committing this fraud, committing this crime? I don't know. You would think that prison is where we send these people so that they're able to reform. But if the officers there are the ones colluding and aiding criminal activities in prison itself, I mean, these reforms that are started in prison, will they amount to anything really?
Miriam, some of these things, it's always an inside-outside jobs. And yes, the convicts play the part together with the officers in the prison. And most about the conning, I don't know if you've ever received some of these funny messages that they send, like, tunaenda nyumbani, we need transport, and the teacher said we need the calculators. My question is, where did these convicts get the phone from? And many people have been conned through the same thing, whereby, for example, a parent who is in the rural areas, we believe so, and end up sending the money. And if you don't send the money, what follows is that they are insults. So this it's always an inside-outside job, and it has been going on for a while, whereby these convicts get the funds from the officers, and they play a pattern. When the money gets in, what they do, they just share 50-50. That is how these convicts survive, and I think the government should look into it, because many people are losing much through them. And yes, when we send them to the prison, when they're sentenced, that means the prison should be a place for them to change. And that's why most of them, they got nothing to lose when they're sentenced for life, because their life still goes on. Yeah.
But also, Gladwell, I think this shines a spotlight, because a lot of times it's okay, fine, these are convicts. And I think everybody in this country at this point has received one of those con messages, even a phone call from these people. But the part that we never pay so much attention to, which I think this story is bringing out, is what these prison officers do to enable and crime in prison itself. So as much as we want the prisoners to reform, is there a way we can perhaps retrain these prison officers that are taking care of these prisoners not to be cahoots when it comes to crime being committed in prison itself? Is it about time, as the prisoner now is saying? He requested actually that he gives a statement to the police and say how these prison warders helped him to commit these crimes. Is it about time we held accountable these prison officers who over time have been the one, helping with these criminal activities in prison?
Miriam, I think it's all about the time because I wish we could follow up that case, and trust you me, the guy might not even end up mentioning the wardens. I'm sure of it. Kenya is a funny country, yes, whereby you can know something but you can't speak it out in public because before you even open up your mouth, you're just done, you're just killed, and you'll just be forgotten. If you can remember the case whereby the 3 Al-Shabaab did escape from the prison, how did they get out and they were found out to be in another county? From where and how did they walk out? So this, as I've said, it's an inside-outside job, and these wardens, they play a big part to these convicts. And that's why, as I've told you, Miriam, most of them, when they're sentenced to life imprisonment, they really don't care. And I wish you can visit the men's prison in Thika. Those guys, they have adapted the life in there, and those guys, there's nothing you can do to them because what they tell you, so they instead of the prison being a soft place for them to change, it becomes a hard place rock for them to continue whatever they are doing. What happens in these wars, as I told you earlier, there are things you personally you can't even want to watch. The lesbianism, the gayism, and some other things that happen in there. And most of them also, and for example, I don't know if you remember the case of a lady who was raped in the prison, and the warden was part of it, and nothing happened about it. The case just surfaced, and within 2 days, it just went off the air. So I think they play a big part, and our government is the high time they own up to those mistakes because the wardens are also part of the government. They're employed by the government. The government needs to own up. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. So hopefully this will open a lead and maybe how we can curb these criminal activities that have continued to go on. So it's very interesting how much he was able to swindle this prisoner, Kenyans, 800,000 Kenya shillings. And the reason why we really have to look at these prison warders is because at the time he was charged, Amere had been at Kamiti prison where he has been a prisoner for 15 years. So he's hardcore. He stayed there for a while. The charge sheet stated that on diverse dates between July 24th and September 11th, 2020, jointly with another suspect, also before the court, with intent to defraud, he obtained 800,000 Kenya shillings from Dr. Selina Vukinu Ambe. Amere and his accomplice told Ambe by paying the money, he would secure a job in the public service. Prosecutor Harrison Gikunda told Kagendo the accused met the victim by befriending her on Facebook and introduced himself as Mr. Omalo. They even have Facebook accounts. Who allows them to have phones in prison? And according to Mr. Gikunda, the victim forwarded her CV. Amere made a fake appointment letter purportedly signed by the head of civil service, Joseph Kinyua. So can you see how elaborate this scheming and this criminal activity is? So this is not a light matter, and hopefully the authorities will take action and see that, when they are taken to prison to reform, and that's why they're correctional facilities, they actually reform. But if you have the people who are supposed to be guiding them in that reform process are the ones who are aiding them and facilitating them with committing crimes, so that beats the purpose. So we're having somebody leave prison more hardened, hardcore criminal like they even went before. And that has been the case. Gladwell, someone goes there for perhaps a lighter crime. By the time they're coming out, few of them will actually reform, but majority of them are said to come out hardcore criminals, and because of issues like this.
Miriam, I also have an issue with our courts because somebody commits a crime today being date 7 of April, and appears before the court, and the court decides that we listen to your case, that is, let's say 4 years to come, that those 4 years that person is behind bars. What do you expect of that person? That person, instead of changing, just come out a very hard call, because maybe one, he was either more so he was innocent, and she or he has the bitterness. So what will make that person change? In fact, they come out to be more hardcore. And yes, so many Facebook accounts which are run by them, they are there. So many pseudo accounts, and you'll get robbed very easily in this Nairobi. It's very easy for you to get conned. Another thing, nowadays it's not a signature forging, it's just a very simple thing. You just take a minute to get somebody's signature and the deal is done. It's not like the past whereby to forge a signature was a crime. Currently, you just sit there and, for example, Miriam, you've seen people going in live interviews and the papers they have, they're all fake, but the papers in real sense looks real. So forging a signature in this era, it's something very simple. Even forging the papers, it's very simple. And I think these are the things that the government should be carving out, because so many people will lose their lives and so many people will be in prison for playing part in such deals.
All right, thank you so much. So let's just move on to other stories, and I think politics, because we do have a lot of that, on the papers this morning. So page 5 on the Standard newspaper, as the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance makes major strides on to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, the more complicated the political arithmetic at the top becomes. The entry of Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka and NARC Kenya's Martha Karua into the coalition gave new impetus to ODM leader Raila Odinga's journey to State House. This development, however, complicated the arithmetic of picking his running mate. Before Mr. Musyoka joined Azimio, 3 Ukambani governors were getting considerable airtime during rallies, and Kitui Governor Charity Ngilu's appear to have Raila's ear. Things have since changed. In Mount Kenya, former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth and Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya were considered as possible running mates, but the Wiper leader's entry has complicated the equation. From seating arrangements, pecking order in terms of addressing rallies and inviting Mr. Odinga, the leaders who are in charge seem to have been replaced and their roles assigned to Mr. Musyoka. The Wiper leader negotiated his way and forced the coalition to change its name from Azimio la Umoja Movement to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya to accommodate his One Kenya Alliance. One Kenya Alliance comprises KANU, led by Gideon Moi, and Cyrus Jirongo's UDP, among others. So I'm not surprised. We expected a bit of a change when Kalonzo Musyoka joined the Azimio la Umoja coalition. So are you at all surprised by these changes? And is this a sign that perhaps things are not going on well in the Azimio coalition?
Miriam, I am not surprised. And as the Kalonzo are saying that they need to change, everybody there got his or her own party. Now, what happens when everybody wants the Azimio to be changed to so that it can accommodate its party? So I think something is missing and something will go wrong in the Azimio. And as I said a while back, the Azimio la Umoja is becoming more complicated. We got Karua, we got Kalonzo, we got Peter Kenneth, Gideon Moi, all of them want to be chosen as the deputy president. Something which will create an enmity, because each one of them have an aim and they want the position to be the deputy president. We can see like somebody like Peter Kenneth always accompanies them. They always accompanies Raila Amolo to everywhere, wherever he goes. So what happens when Peter Kenneth is not chosen, and let's say somebody like Gideon Moi is chosen? Definitely Peter Kenneth and the Moso, who comes from the Mount Kenya region, might even set an influence to the Mount Kenya region. What happens to, for example, if Karua is chosen, who just recently joined? So I think Raila should be so sharp with whatever he's doing, and he should be focused to creating a better Azimio la Umoja without actually favoring one of the party person. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And Professor Peter Kagwanja, a governance expert and Jubilee Murang'a senatorial aspirant, said Mount Kenya's running mate candidacy would be a liability to Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. He claimed that most leaders scrambling for the position lack national appeal and grassroots support. So what he's saying right now in Mount Kenya, there's no that leader that has a national appeal, and should Raila decide to choose one of them to be to deputize him in Azimio la Umoja, that will be a liability, might not do him a lot of good. Is there no...
Miriam, to be honest, we are fed up with Kikuyu leadership. I'm sorry to say so. We are fed up by Kikuyu leadership because, and I'm sorry to say so, and because when we chose Uhuru, we had so much hopes in him, but now what is happens, it's like he's not even ready to talk to us as the people. So, and him saying that the leader will be a liability.
So when you say Uhuru is not ready to talk to you as a people, I see him gathering leaders from Mount Kenya every now and then at the State Lounge, Sagana there. That's not enough. Or what kind of talks are you referring to in this regard?
You know, as the Kikuyu people, him gathering the people to the Sagana, that does not play a big part in whatever he does in the ruling. Because Kikuyus, we are funny in a way, because this is not what we expect of him. What we wish him to do, the same way he walked out in 2017.
Please, just help us understand, because I really want to get your point of view, Gladwell, and I'm grateful that you're very open and you know, talking in that manner, because we really want to understand what really Kikuyus were expecting from the President of the Republic of Kenya, and of course the leader of the Gikuyu as it is politically. What were your expectations?
Yes. Miriam, let me tell you something, and I'll be so open. The same way Uhuru walked out when they were the Uhuru Ruto in 2017 and pleaded for our votes, and we gave them, the same way he can come to us, to the Kikuyus, and say that this time, let us support Raila Omolo Odinga. Trust you me, it will just take seconds for us, the Kikuyu, to change our mindset. And from there henceforth, everybody will be singing the Azimio. But what happens now? He's so quiet. His deputy president is actually he's doing this behind his back, and why the people are so much believing in Ruto is because these two people, they were together, and they said they were like, it was a marriage whereby they took even the vows. So one is opposite, it's like the marriage divorced, and when you divorce, one thing that people do, we listen to the second part, and that's why people are so much listening to Ruto. But if Uhuru can just come out, and we also had we also had her mother speaking to us. Trust you me, the people Mama Ngina spoke to, they listened, because she walked out and said the reason our president is doing this and this is because he wishes us to have a better country. The same way if Uhuru can just come, and the way he was organizing the Sagana and just come and say, my people, now this time let us support Raila because of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Miriam, trust you me, the whole slogan changes to Azimio la Umoja. That is what we just need of him. Yes, let us come out and face his people. Let us come out, let him come out, face us and speak to us. Trust me, we will listen to him. Yes.
So what I'm hearing you to be saying, because we saw the rift between the deputy president and the president play out for a very long time, and there was no possible explanation. I mean, at that time, we were wondering what really happened between these two leaders who were very close at one time, and as you said there, that relationship and the bromance was really tight, and we thought, okay, all of a sudden things have changed. But in the recent past, we've been seeing, especially after that meeting President Uhuru Kenyatta had with the elders in State House, where he said, my deputy, I wanted to have me impeached, and of course there have been other rumors that have been going around about this and this being planned and all that. We don't have we cannot substantiate that, so we will not get into that. So we'll just go by what was said at State House during that meeting. So if President Uhuru Kenyatta had come out early with this kind of information and said, hey, I know we were tight and I know you voted for us together, but this is why this marriage or this working relationship between me and my deputy is no longer holding. Could he, if he gave that information much earlier, and the reasons as to why, instead of just being quiet and seeing that rift and brew over a certain amount of time, would it have made the people of Mount Kenya accept or further understand what really transpired? Did President Uhuru Kenyatta owe, especially his supporters, an explanation much earlier than right now?
Miriam, trust you, it could have borne the fruits. Let me go back to handshake, for example. As a result of the handshake, we can see Raila can now freely visit the backyard of Uhuru Kenyatta in Gatondo, and vice versa without the animosity from the locals, unlike before, whereby the animosity was there. So that's the first thing I recommend. I actually commend the president, the handshake, and that is what William Ruto did not want, the handshake, the two of them coming close. But if our president early before could have just come to us Kenyans and to us the Mount Kenya people and just say, my people, I'm here, and this happened. Kikuyus were so good in listening, Miriam. We could have listened and we call him, but actually we refer Uhuru to a particular name, Kamonagaitu. We could have listened to him. Yes, he's our Kamona. We could have listened
I want us to. Yes, sorry. I've cut you short. Sorry, Gladwell. But even as we conclude on this matter, is it too late now for President Uhuru Kenyatta to change the minds of people, and perhaps have been wondering what happened, and maybe who felt a bit betrayed with the handshake? Is it too late?
It's not too late, Miriam. If he can act, it's not too late. And I've told you, Kikuyus, we are so good in listening. It is not too late.
All right. Okay. Good. President Kenyatta, Weskia, it's not too late. Continue reaching out to your people. They might just listen. All right, let's just move on to other matters, but still has to do with politics. And of course, the deputy president is in the middle of it. Deputy President William Ruto launched two separate attacks on his boss Uhuru Kenyatta and his handshake partner Raila Odinga over funds used on the Building Bridges initiative. Ruto wants the Public Accounts Committee to probe probable misuse of public funds and has written to the Auditor General Nancy Gathungu requesting a forensic audit of the accounts of the BBI Steering Committee and Task Force. Garissa Township MP Aiden Duale, a confidant to Ruto, has requested a statement from PAC regarding the alleged misuse and wastage of public funds. The Supreme Court declared the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020, popularly known as the BBI, null and void. The pertinent question that arises is, was public funds utilized in rolling out the unconstitutional process? Duale asked. Are they right to demand for this accountability, and if at all public money was used for this process?
Miriam, as I asked yesterday, and I am now getting eager to get the answer to this question.
I'm asking
is
you.
The deputy president? Yes, is the deputy president first? Is he in the government or he's no longer in the government? Because how can you demand for an accountability? A reason being, were it not for the handshake, and let us be realistic, Miriam. If Uhuru Kenyatta did not come together with Ruto, with Raila, and chose to do the handshake with the BBI with Ruto and him being him, that is Uhuru, will still be Ruto still demanding for the public funds to be explained to where they went to?
Okay.
I think those are questions we should be asking ourselves. What if he was the one what if he's the one who created the BBI together with Uhuru? Could he still be demanding for it? And another thing, is he in the government or is he? Because he needs to resign. We are getting tired each and every day. Him wanting this. Let him come out and say, I'm no longer the deputy president. I resign. Now let me ask for things in peace. Yes, but as long as he's our deputy president, him standing each day, I don't know, the governments need to explain where their money went from, and we need to understand the corruption in Kenya. Where is he at the first place?
Okay, so he needs to be clear about that before he demands for these kinds of accountability. Okay, I hear you. It's crunch time as tight IEBC deadlines squeeze Raila and Ruto. As we all know, the August 9th general election is drawing closer, and ODM boss Raila Odinga and Deputy President William Ruto are facing are racing to beat tight electoral timelines. The two have a date with the Independent Electorals and Boundaries Commission for presidential nomination on May 29th. In the meanwhile, there's a lot of work and not a lot of time. They will have to ensure their coalition parties have put their houses in order. Through credible nominations, they must be taken through the legal steps necessary before formal IEBC clearance. I don't know about credible nominations. Is that something that we look forward to during our party primaries?
Yes, Miriam, we need to, and for sure there's a lot of work to be done, and there is no time because these two, they need to get ready for the elections. And one thing I'm sorry to say, so with the Ruto, the way he's doing his things, Have you ever felt that feeling of umejiaminia sana? You know that feeling that you have already made it, yet you are not even halfway done. Yes, and that is the issue we are having with the UDA. The hype that is the hype which with negative effects is happening in UDA because you think so and so supports you, you think the whole area now supports you. No, that's not the way to go. So I think there's much of work to be done, and there is no time, by the way. So the two of them needs to get ready because this election, for sure, Miriam, it might be different from the rest. And for the first time, we can see our president is not supporting the deputy president. So he's actually, so it's let me term it as a special election. Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. And there's something that Raila said yesterday that he's received a lot of backlash, and because he blames the war in Ukraine for ongoing fuel crisis. ODM leader Raila Odinga has called for efficient fuel emergency preparedness to cushion Kenyans from oil supply shocks. The ODM boss, who spoke when he met oil marketers at a Nairobi hotel, said Kenyans are vulnerable to uncertainty spiked by global oil fluctuations. He appeared to be deflecting blame from the Jubilee administration of President Uhuru Kenyatta. It has been blamed for raising fuel levies and failing to pay oil marketers. Well, we do understand that the war in Ukraine, has affected, the oil prices globally. But we know our situation here was different. So why can't they just look at matters the way they are and stop deflecting?
Very true, Miriam. Before we started the show, I was reading a piece of that, the whole explanation in Pauline Njoroge's timeline. And it is true, at a point I agree with the war affecting us Kenyans because our government currently is trying. I saw the whole poster, but I did not have the whole time to go through it with them, also with the fuel. And our government is much trying. Currently, Miriam, the cooking oil is much expensive more than the fuel, if you have not noticed. It is much expensive, the cooking oil, more than the fuel. So I think our government is actually working on it to have a better way. And I think the war in Ukraine, it's true, it's affecting not only us Kenyans, but I think the whole world. Because I also saw Joe Biden speak something about it. And also the post about that the president of Tanzania made. The war, yes, Kenya, we started facing the issues even before the war. But I think the war has actually contributed much to more of what we thought and what we saw. But again, my plea to the government in the near future, let us first work with our Kenyans before getting help from outside. Because if we had actually come together and supported our farmers, we could not be facing the issues and the tough times we are facing, mostly economy-wise. Yeah, Miriam.
All right. Let's just leave that there, and then we come back to politics. And Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja has joined Deputy President William Ruto's UDA party, on whose ticket he will be vying for the city governor's seat. His move comes even as Terehe Member of Parliament Charles Njagua alias Jaguar rubbished claims he has stepped down for EALA MP Simon Bogwa, that is East African Legislative Assembly Member of Parliament Simon Bogwa. Sakaja said he decamped from Jubilee long ago and joined UDA as he prepares to succeed Governor Anne Kananu. I have never joined ANC. When I left Jubilee, I went straight to UDA, and I'd assumed that he was a senator through ANC because of how he has been supporting and defending, Musalia Mudavadi. But he said he's never been to ANC. He's been a Jubilee a candidate, and now he has moved to UDA party. Will this change anything in regards to? Because we know, so we do have Bishop Margaret Wanjiru, who is seeking to vie for the same position in UDA, ticket. So what do you think will happen here?
Miriam, to be honest, I hate UDA with passion.
Don't say
but
that.
There's something I love about. But there's something I love about Johnson Sakaja.
Hate is a strong word to use. Gladwell.
Yes.
Hate is a very strong word to use.
Yes.
You're just being honest.
I always say I never sugarcoat life because I hate hypocrisy and
All right, go ahead.
The same way. Yeah, that's I was saying about Johnson Sakaja. I might hate the party he is in, but there's something I love this guy. Mm-hmm. Johnson Sakaja is one straightforward man, and he never sugarcoats what is not there. And yes, him joining, as he has always been with the deputy president too. And another thing of Jaguar stepping down, it's all fake. He also made the statement yesterday and said that he's not stepping down for anybody. Let us meet at the ballot. Jaguar is so much strong and is not stepping down for anybody. So that is, he said in his post, that is fake. But as for Johnson Sakaja, let him go for it. And I wish my vote was for Nairobi. I don't love the team, but for him, I can give him a vote. Because he's a straightforward guy who always wishes the best for the Nairobi. And you have ever happened to listen to his talks. He's also a wise man. And like, I'm a woman, but there's something also about Wanjiro. Let's not talk about it.
It's not adding up. So you're saying if you were to vote, then you would, if you had the Nairobi vote, then you vote for Sakaja?
Not because of the party he is in, but because of him
His
personally.
leadership.
Yes.
Okay. And Charles Jaguar is my member of parliament, and every time I think about it, I think I don't know what Jubilee did there, but I don't know, because I don't think he's done much. I don't think, and I was curious to know what he's been doing. So I went to look at his socials, and I saw he's just posting the things that NMS is doing on his page. So I don't know what really he's been able to do, because NMS and Starehe being part of the CBD and all that. So NMS, a lot of the projects it has done in Starehe and all that. And Jaguar sometimes takes credit to this. I don't know. I don't know if I still want him as my member of parliament. If there's any reason why we should vote in August, for me, will be to change him.
Miriam, I'm having an issue with these politicians. And for example, Kemani Wamatangi, gone are the times whereby you play politics under the water, chini ya maji. This is not the time to do so. You have been doing projects, but nobody can explain initially what you've done, yet you've done something. For example, let me take you to Embakasi, whereby we got somebody like George Deuri. George Deuri is in UDAS, and that guy, if you can go to Embakasi, he has really worked, because that guy always has an accountability of what he does. So also with these politicians should start emulating some of these people. You don't talk for your constituency chini ya maji. No, you have to wake up, you have to man up and have the accountability of what you're doing. Let the results sell you out. But this is not the time where you're coming and telling us, I did this, I did it. You did it to who and to where? Let us see what you've been doing. For example, this guy, Judge Deuri and Ronald Mugabe, you don't even need to ask what they have done. It is evidence. You can see what they have been doing. So these politics of saying nafanya kitu chini ya maji, I don't want competition, this is not the era to do such things.
Okay.
So that the same thing that is happening to Jaguar. He has done so much, but we can't explain what he has been doing apart from the NMS. The same thing he's just been yapping around about.
I don't know if he's done so much. I don't know. Maybe I've not looked around enough around Starehe, but every project that he's posting on his socials, that is something that NMS, at least 90% NMS has done that. So I don't know what that has to do with him, but I would love to know if at all, apart from the paintings of schools and all that, I'd like to know what actually he has done, because there are things
Miriam, another issue we are having with these politicians, currently politics is just becoming like it is for anybody. Jaguar was a musician. And sorry to say so, like somebody like Anwar Muradha is a counselor. We got somebody like Les Kim is a musician. So every person is just like, you're just waking up in the morning and you feel, I can just be an MP, I can just be I can just be a woman representative. And I said, leadership is not about what you think you can. Leadership is God-given. And that's why most of these people don't perform, because they just wanted to use that money. Jaguar should have just stuck to his music. He was doing better in music.
Okay. Yeah, I'm afraid I would agree with you on that, I think. All right. Thank you so much. But before we end, I see we still have another 2 or so minutes. I want to bring us up to date with some African news. Just one story on Burkina Faso's Compaoré gets life in prison over Sankara's murder. Blaise Compaoré, who took over after the assassination of Thomas Sankara. He led the country for 27 years, and yesterday he was found guilty of the assassination of Sankara. So let me just read a bit of that, and then we'll just end the show there. Burkina Faso's former president Blaise Compaoré was sentenced to life imprisonment for complicity in the 1987 murder of his predecessor Thomas Sankara in a coup, a military tribunal ruled yesterday. The charismatic Marxist revolutionary Sankara was gunned down in the West African nation's capital Ouagadougou at the age of 37, 4 years after he took power in a previous putsch. Compaoré was charged in absentia along with his former head of security, Hyacinth Kafando, who was also sentenced to life imprisonment. Both have previously denied any involvement in Sankara's death, coming among with 12 other defendants accused of involvement in the plot, 3 of whom were declared innocent on Wednesday. The court finds Blaise Compaoré and Hyacinth Kafando guilty of attack on state security, complicity in murder, and concealment of a corpse, the tribunal said in its ruling. Compaoré went on to rule for 27 years before being ousted in another coup in 2014 and fleeing to Ivory Coast, where he is still believed to live. Yeah, he is in Ivory Coast as we speak. I don't know if you're familiar with this story, Gladwell.
Well, I don't know much about it, but my words will be I actually blame the African Union. On the Twitter space, we had a conversation, is the African Union dead or captured by external forces? So I base the whole story on it. I blame the African Union. Miriam, how many years did you say he killed? When did he kill?
But the African Union has nothing on the judicial system in Burkina Faso. Those are internal matters. So I don't know how.
Yes. Yes, true, Miriam, and I wish you listened to Dr. Matsanga because, and as I said, the topic was, is African Union dead or captured by external forces? Yes, it has got not set to the judicial, but it also plays a part because you can see that's why most of the leaders, they just do anything and just walk out scot-free. And when they are judged, like issues that happened 27 years ago, even 40 years ago, now that person will be judged, will be sentenced, yes, but for how many years has he been free?
And of course, this murder happened some 34 years ago. Thomas Sankara and Blaise Compaoré were very good friends. They went to the military school together. They were very close friends. So it is the French who, I spoke about this yesterday in the afternoon show where I do the African news. As much as this is a good step that Blaise Compaoré has been found guilty, but Blaise Compaoré did not exactly carry out order for these killings. There are other powers, and French has been accused. I think Belgium also has been accused. So as much as this is a small win in the greater road to finding justice, can we also now find other people culpable? Can we also find other people with the interest, who had interest? Because the reason why Thomas Sankara was taken out is because he really wanted a Burkina Faso that was self-sufficient, self-reliant. He wanted to break that tie between Burkina Faso and its former colony, that is France. And of course, they did not like that very well, because we know a country like France, its economy benefits so much from the backs of the countries here in Africa. We work and then we just take care of the economy, especially its former colonies. So Burkina Faso under Thomas Sankara wanted to break away from this, and his vision of Burkina Faso was that the people could work for themselves and be empowered and take care of their own country. France did not like that, and so they knew the person to place there was his very close friend Blaise Compaoré, and it is said this assassination was organized. It was shot by a close guard, in his official residence, and that was that. Then immediately his very close friend Compaoré came to power, was installed by French. So it's a lot of history behind that. And so as much as Compaoré has been found guilty, I think I want this to go further. Let's bring other people who are also involved in this intricate, plan to take out Thomas Sankara. So anyway, that is that. We'll not get too much into that. But anyway, if you want to more of this, usually every day at 3 p.m. for the Diaspora Dispatches, where we get to look at African stories and the latest from the continent. Gladwell Kirago, thank you so much for your time this morning. This has been Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu. We'll be back here at 11 a.m. with another show, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye for now, and a very good morning to you.